Today, we are comparing Klipsch La Scala versus Wilson Audio Yvette. $13,000 versus over $25,000. 70 years of heritage versus contemporary engineering for over 50 years and the most sought after brand out there. I was in a position where I had to choose, and the decision came down to something most people will not talk about. So, do you have the system and the room these speakers need? Or are you still building? Let's find out together what these pieces of remarkable sound engineering actually do. Hello boys and girls, and welcome back to another episode of the Sound Lab. Hopefully today not as controversial as before. Let me tell you how I got here first. I was a long-term Klipsch speakers owner. Reference Premier series. They are dynamic, loud, energetic speakers that add vividness to the music and are very pleasing to hear to. But they are purchased to work within a home theater system, and they were powered by a Yamaha flagship AVR. When I moved to Bowers & Wilkins Diamond series, I never really looked back, and I almost forgot about my Klipsch, because the Klipsch, they are general purpose speakers designed for living rooms with minimal to no room acoustics optimization. The Bowers & Wilkins Diamonds, these are hardcore audiophile speakers. They are revealing enough to be used for critical listening, but on the other hand, require competent amplification and very carefully executed system matching to perform. There is a chaos between just plugging them into anything versus using the right electronics. Klipsch Reference Premier and Bowers & Wilkins 800 series offer two completely different scopes when it comes to genuine stereo audiophile listening. In one of our prior videos, we have demonstrated how a revealing amplification system unveiled the need to explore better matches than my Bowers & Wilkins 800 series. On certain songs, the deep and detailed bottom end, like Billie Eilish's Bad Guy, the limitations of Bowers & Wilkins can easily be challenged above 95 decibels SPL. They would clip. It had to be loud, but once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. This clipping you always remember. That truth led me to the hunt for a better match of McIntosh electronics. It changed what I was chasing and brought me to choosing between two different schools of thought. There are millions of opinions across the globe, distributed by an enormous logarithmic rate through digital media. In my choice for the next step, moving on from the Bowers & Wilkins 800 series, I had to narrow it down to two different schools of thought. Should I match a McIntosh system with undeniable horns heritage, or the undisputed by audiophiles excellence in sonic performance that is so much sought after by audiophiles? The first school is the undeniable heritage of horns, and especially Klipsch. The Klipsch heritage lineup is pretty much coming from a very limited production facility in the US. Practically, they are handmade. They carry the legacy of Paul Wilburn Klipsch in its horn speaker design. I consider Klipsch for many reasons. The primary one was my past experience, good memories of the brand and the Klipsch sound that I thought would match what I wanted. The second reason, even though aesthetics are less important as it is subjective, still I find the Klipsch more appealing visually in the design within the confinements of my living room. Thirdly, this is their flagship series, bringing more forward what made the brand so appealing, and I thought it would take this emotional connection from the past to a new level, as this was no longer a doing-it-all speaker, the Klipsch that I knew before. The second school is the Wilson, a contemporary statement with a 50 years legacy, sought after by anyone that has a system worth listening to. By many, Wilson audio speakers are considered expensive and made for highly revealing flagship pairing with flagship limited production, in most cases electronics. Material that is mostly exhibited to the ultra-end world and perceived as unapproachable. At least this was my opinion of them. Having the willpower to try this extra mile was what made Wilson speakers the second candidate for my upgrade. The dilemma was really, should I go for the sweet sounding and beautiful La Scalas, or for the twice the price and robot looking Yvettes? Appearances matter, but sound matters more, at least to me. The ultimate decision making tool is always your ears. So this is what I did, a side-by-side comparison with equipment relevant to mine and a playlist revealing enough and familiar to me in order to reach my conclusion. Let me start and walk you through the specifications, because this is where you start understanding what you are really choosing between. The specifications of the Klipsch La Scala are, in a summary, fully horn-loaded three-way design, 105 decibels of sensitivity, and this number is extraordinary. Think about what this means. You can drive these speakers with a 10-watt tube amplifier and reach concert-level volumes. The efficiency is unmatched. The bass extension, they go down to 51 Hz. Not subterranean, but for a horn-loaded design, it is respectable. Their nominal impedance is 8 ohms, dips as low as 4.2 ohms between 70 and 300 Hz, making them less challenging for amps to drive, and they can go really loud, reaching an SPL that can go up to 121 decibels. Don't try this at home. On measured performance, it appears that cabinet resonances can impact their response performance at mid-bottom end, while overall their frequency response is robust across the audible or deliver bands, despite the very fast roll-off on the mid-range and around 3 kHz. This is a speaker with 70 years of continuous refinement behind it, and that is real heritage. Now, on the other hand, the Wilson Audio Yvette specifications are: it's a three-way design with separate internal chambers, time-aligned drivers, contemporary engineering. Wilson uses their proprietary materials to design the cabinets, and they really do a one-of-a-kind job in managing those resonances. 86 decibels of sensitivity. Now, here's where this gets interesting. The difference between 105 decibels and 86 decibels is 19 decibels. That means the La Scala produces the same sound pressure level with roughly 1/100th of the amplifier power. The Yvette needs power, real power. All decent systems have sufficient output, but you need amplification that can deliver current in a 4 ohms load that drops to 3 ohms at around 90 Hz. On the bass extension, 20 Hz, that's 31 Hz difference from the La Scala. That's not subtle, that's fundamental and touches the lowest end of human hearing, assuming your ears are still working fine. On measurements, the Yvette measures abnormally exceptional, suggesting an optimal crossover design with astonishing on-axis response and time alignment. It appears, however, that the Yvette's perceived low-end performance will be dominated by the room's properties, another sign that indicates that they are designed for listeners with curated and treated listening rooms. These aren't just numbers on paper, they translate to what you hear. On paper, these two speakers are as far apart as their targeted audience suggested by their designers. Klipsch is easy to drive, doesn't go so low, has a color to it, a genuine piece of Klipsch heritage and craftsmanship, while the Yvettes are demanding exceptional electronics, and within the restrictions of a curated system and listening room, they can be as accurate as life itself. So, I compare them side to side in a controlled environment. Same quality amplification, same sources material, same room conditions. Apples to apples. And with the systems that are similar to mine. Starting with the Klipsch La Scala, they were connected to a mid-tier McIntosh system, a hi-fi row streamer DAC, Cobas as a streaming source, and AudioQuest cabling and power conditioning. that horn-loaded immediacy hits you instantly. There is a jump factor, a presence. When music starts, it's there. The La Scala were very musical, extremely vivid and quite capable to handle dynamic swings. They sound like nothing else, they have their own vintage soul. However, the sound stage was narrowed down to a specific area behind them. The bass performance was absent. It took a day off during auditioning. And overall the sound could get loud, but it was thin. Totally recommended speakers, cannot say for sure they are inferior to Bowers, as their horns are not as fatiguing as the Diamond Tweeters. And their overall sound character is more colored, but more pleasing than the Bowers and Wilkins. The low end didn't clip on my demanding songs, but that was attributed to the absence of these frequencies, not their ability to manage them. Moving to the Yvettes, this is where measurements become reality. They were auditioned connected to a pair of McIntosh MC3500 tube monoblocks with McIntosh C2700 tube preamp and same hi-fi raw sources streaming from Gobaz and connected with AudioQuest cables and power conditioning. That 20 Hz bass extension, it is there. You just don't hear it, you feel it in your chest. The room pressurizes differently. But it's not just the bass. The soundstage is wider, deeper, more three-dimensional. Instruments aren't just left and right. They are placed in a space with precision I haven't experienced before. Details retrieval. The Yvette reveals textures in recordings, reverb tails, room ambience, things that they were there all along, but I've never heard. And here's the critical part. The Yvette sounds like nothing else. It's not better in some abstract way, it is fundamentally different. When I play those same tracks like Billie Eilish's Bad Guy, that deep, detailed bottom end that will force Bowers and Wilkins into clipping, the Yvettes reproduced it perfectly. No compression, no distortion. It was there, powerful and dynamic. The La Scala gave me that Klipsch magic, that immediate, fun, engaging presentation. The Yvettes gave me truth, accuracy, a window into what the recording actually contains. As you must have understood by now, I never really had a choice. The Wilson Audio speakers don't give you any room for a decision. I bought them, they are here. And here's what surprised me most about this decision. The law of diminishing returns, it evaporates. Yes, the Yvettes cost twice as much as the La Scalas. But what you get isn't 20% better or 30% better. It's a completely different category of performance. For what these speakers deliver, they are actually a bargain. I know this might sound insane. $25,000 or more, a bargain. Well, when you compare what you are getting, that 20 Hz bass extension, that soundstage precision, that resolution, that ability to disappear and just present music in a three-dimensional space, for twice the price, are you getting 5 times the performance? You are getting a performance that cannot be benchmarked with a ratio. But here's the part that most people will miss and they will write it in their comments. These speakers need the rest of the system and the listening room to operate. If you don't have the proper amplification, if your room isn't treated, if your source chain isn't up to the task, you might be wasting your money. The Yvettes will reveal everything, the good and the bad. They might as well be forgiving sometimes, but sometimes only. I had that foundation. My McIntosh system, my room treatment, my source components and my cables. And that's why I bought them. Let me be very clear about what I recommend. Who are the La Scalas perfect for? Tube. Mid sweet spot electronics with a distinctive, ideally warm sound. Vinyl lovers with a decent setup. 3. digital enthusiasts with decent, discrete DACs. 4. Listeners that do not focus only on exceptionally good recordings of a reference grade, but they want to listen to everything. And honestly, if aesthetics matter to you, the La Scalas are beautiful. I'll say it. They would look better in my living room. There is no shame in this choice or regret. The La Scala is an exceptional speaker. For most people, it's the right speaker. But who are the Wilson Audio Yvettes for? Listeners with a well-defined and specific listening spot in their listening room. You can listen to them perfectly on axis. A room that has the acoustic treatment and space for them to coexist with the room. Third, systems with extremely competent electronics regardless of the technology. 4. Listeners that aim for critical listening that is accurate, lifelike, transparent, and convincing. But if you have built the system properly, if you have the room, if you have the electronics, on this occasion, the Yvette is a bargain for what it delivers. Diminishing returns on Wilson Audio speakers do not apply. And I know this is a very strong point. So, what did I learn from this experience? 1. Heritage is real. 70 years of continuous production and refinement means something. The La Scala is proven. 2. Measurements matter. The Yvette specs aren't just numbers on paper, they are real, and they translate directly to what you hear. 3. Context determines value. The Yvette is only a bargain if you have the foundation to support it. Otherwise, you might as well save your money. 4. Different philosophies serve different needs. The La Scala for versatility and the Klipsch magic. The Yvette for those really ready to explore what is possible when the system is right. And 5. Aesthetics are subjective, but they matter. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The good news is that out there is a system for everyone, from $1,000 all the way up to infinity. And all can sound pretty good, given different compromises. If you are making this decision, or the speaker's decision, ask yourself one question. Do I have the foundation? System, room, electronics? If yes, the Yvette is worth every penny of that $25,000. If no, something like the La Scala is a smarter choice, and you will be absolutely happy with them. Both are exceptional speakers. They just serve different people at different stages of the journey. So, something about us, subscribe for more honest comparisons, and check out our system building videos. And tell me in the comments, where are you in this audiophile journey? You must have noticed that I reply to almost everything. Thanks for watching and take care.